Good morning and welcome, Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Wednesday. I hope it finds you well out there. I am back. I hope you had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. My youngest son graduated from college over the weekend, so we were there. Then a quick jaunt up to Las Vegas, where the digital money conference is still raging on, but got to spend some time with Bobby Gray, the founder of TEXIT, and all kinds of exciting things that I was learning there. We'll share with you. You know what? I hope I got to get retrained and how to do all of this. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. And, boy, there's a lot going on. Right now, we're waiting for the Fed minutes that come out later today. Why, I don't know, right? But okay, let's pretend that they're important. This is going to be the minutes that they, who knows if they're even accurate or not, that they said that they talked about. And NVIDIA earnings after the bell. So those are the two big things that they want you to focus in on. Carnage continues in the bond markets. It hasn't gone away. It's not going away. One of Japan's, I think it was actually the largest life insurance companies, taking massive losses in the Japanese bond market. Now, you got to remember, same thing here. Insurance companies are big buyers of treasuries. Money markets, big buyers of treasuries. I want you to make sure you take caution, because these are things that, people quite don't really, okay, well, how? Why does this happen? Big jumps in rates, so the higher the rates go, the bigger the loss. Just think of it that way. If you bought at high-yielding rates and the rates come down, hey, you're making good money that way. Hey, that's a good deal. But the other way right now, that's how it's been really when you think about it. Go back to the 80s. We were in a cycle, probably a good 40 years, a little over 40 years, where it wasn't a straight line, but we went from, 16% to zero. Well, right next to zero, right? You can't do much better than that, and now the situation is reversed. Now, I don't know that it really matters what the Federal Reserve does. This is not payable. You heard from every major financial institution pretty much on the planet last week about what they think is going to happen with U.S. debt. Then there was word breaking out of France this morning. It may have been this weekend, but I'll say this morning, it could have been yesterday, that the French government is going to face a significant liquidity crisis, and that auditors are saying that the expenditures are out of control and could leave France running out of money by very early 2027. So think about it. We're mid 2025. We've got a full-blown crisis in Japan in their bond market. Matter of fact, Japan is trying to limit the amount of long-term trade. They're going to do a Janet Yellen. Okay, well, what if we just sell a bunch more short-term stuff? We won't sell the long-term because it's those 20-year and 30-year, 40-year auctions that get us in trouble because nobody thinks we're going to be around that long. That's why. And now you're talking about what's going on in Europe. I think this is the next shoe to drop. And it's not just France. Go back. Remember, they were talking about the pigs, right? Portugal, Ireland, Italy, right? There's actually two eyes in pigs, right? We knew about Greece, Spain, right? But one of the things, you didn't hear France and you didn't hear Germany, but now guess what? They're all in it as well. I'm going to reiterate to you, I hope you're prepared. I hope you understand what is coming, the crisis that is coming. I know a lot of people want the big, beautiful bill, right? Hey, we're going to grow our way out of this. It is fantasy that they're going to be able to grow their way out. It just doesn't work that way. I wish it did. The problem, as we know, for every $6 the government spends, we get $1 of GDP growth. Do the math, guys. It's not that hard. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason here on this Monday. The Dow is down 150 points. We had a rally yesterday on, okay, well, I won't hit Europe with 50% until, I think it was right after the 4th of July, something like that. Okay. S&P's down 16. The NASDAQ's down 35. The 10-year note just not going away here. 449 in change. Watching the Japanese 10-year at 152. We'll continue to monitor as huge losses now piling up for Japanese largest insurance companies. Crude oil's up $1. I don't know why, but it's up $1 right now. Gold is flat here, $3,300. Silver's down 23 cents at $33. By the way, platinum up again. Platinum just below $1,100 to the ounce. Some interesting things over the weekend. Jordan Royburn, he wrote the book, Gold and Silver, The Great Bull Market Has Begun. He was out over the weekend talking about a very technical picture. Right? So it's funny when you look at anything, really, whether it's Wall Street, right, the bond market, the gold and silver, any market, especially markets that have traded for decades, have all these patterns that they say emerge. And, of course, we know most of the trading now is computerized. They have computers. They look for this stuff, right? That's kind of what they do. And they think about it like bookies, right? How does Vegas do so well on setting the line for all of these games, right? Well, you know what? It's research, right? And it's putting all this data in and It can be all kinds of different data. Well, this team's got to travel. It's a West Coast team traveling to the East. It's an indoor stadium team playing outside in cold weather. Right, all kinds of crap goes into it. And somehow they just nail these things. Well, according to Royburn, gold and silver just completed a 13-year, what he calls it, the cup and handle pattern. This is a very famous pattern in Wall Street. The cup and handle pattern. So remember, what is he talking about? So he's talking about, remember, gold went to almost $1,900. And then it went all the way back to $1,300, well, almost really, actually, about $1,054, almost to the dollar. And then now it's been, got back to that, like, $1,900 level, remember? It kind of fought there for a while, and now it's busted through. And he's saying that this new market in gold precedes past gold bull markets. What's he talking about? The 30s. Well, the 30s is pretty easy, right? They took the gold away, right, Jason? And then said, hey, instead of it being $20, it's now $35. Right. Like overnight. Of course, before they did that, they took all the gold away from us. The only gold you were allowed to keep was collectible gold. That was it. Then, of course, he talked about the breakout pattern of the 70s, right, when gold finally was able to trade freely. And then the breakout in 2002. So the year before I got here, right, gold got down to, what, 250? And broke out, and he said, this is the next breakout. And it's funny because, think about it. Well, the first one took over 40 years. The next breakout, 30 years. This breakout, 20 years, right? And when this breakout's over, why do I got a feeling, Jason, I'm gonna go crazy. In 10 years, there's going to be another breakout, right? I mean, that's just how the math is leading. So he says, in the next 12 months, here's his call: $3,700 before the end of the year, $4,400 to $4,500 within the next 12 months. And isn't it interesting? Isn't that essentially the same number as all the banks are throwing out there, right? Jason, I think it's pretty easy. They all see the same pattern. It's not like this is rocket science, right? They're all seeing it, and they know that, hey, the computers will keep buying this thing to at least $4,500.
Yeah, they have a good beat on that paper gold. I don't know if it seems like physical for the first time. What's happened the last 18 months is that physical's pushing the paper. So they're looking at paper. Look, if the physical gets hotter and gets and demand. I mean, look, Joe and I both know the retail buying of gold and silver is way down. I've been doing this with Joe now past 7 years, and the last year and a half especially, just people are tapped out. If you can't pay your bills, you're not going to be buying gold. Your savings is what you spend if you don't have enough money to pay your bills. But we get a little bit of quantitative easing. We get a little relief from some recession that's getting ready to happen, and some of that nature. And the retail buyer comes back in and helps the worldwide demand, Joe. Those prices can just push weight. The paper price isn't going to hold. I've seen the pictures in China. Their retail buying is out of control. It's still, to this day, out of control. People are waiting in lines for hours and hours just to get into the jewelry shops to buy gold chains. We're not talking coins, right, Joe? I wonder what the premium is on coins in that country, right? They're paying a huge, huge premium. I mean, jewelry is the highest premium you can pay. So this is what they're trying to push on people. But you watch the retail demand on gold go up at some point, and it really, I mean, Joe, I did this thing yesterday. Bank of America, 40% of all deposits in American banks are that bank, Bank of America, and they have $700 billion in short-term 1% or less treasuries.
Yeah.
And the supplementary leverage ratio, this easing on the regulations. Carol Roth, I played her yesterday, and she's like, "Look, what they're going to do is, this isn't going to work. What happened to Silicon Valley Bank in 2023? That's going to happen. They're going to find out that." This huge, Bank of America is just drowning in this stuff, and there'll be a run on it. And she said they're going to relax. Joe, you remember 2 years ago I was talking about how they're going to have this supplemental leverage ratio thing where they're going to let the big banks print the money. And as long as they buy the treasuries that nobody is buying, the Fed will be so happy with this because they'll have to buy less. You talk about inflation, right, Joe? You think the big banks given the ability just to print the money at will, especially if you have $700 billion in this stuff that nobody wants? What Bank of America wants is to get these to go all the way, because you don't lose if you can get them to go all the way. But when the banks have a run, they have to sell this stuff at a discount, and there's where the losses come in, and that's where the bank fails. So Carol Roth is like, look, they're not going to let this happen to the biggest deposited bank in the country. They're just going to let them print the money. And then when things really blow up, Joe, it's like, well, it ain't our fault. Bank of America just printed too much money. But that's how they're going to sop up some of these treasuries. This is where we're headed.
It's going to be a problem. Listen, the losses, you're hearing about it in Japan. They don't want you to know. It's bad. It's really bad. And it's getting worse. And the same, unrealized losses are great until they're realized, right? Once they're realized, then you have a problem. Silver, okay. Listen, this is not rocket science here either, right? $35 is a very key level. We know this. We've talked about it. It's got to get above 35. He says once it clears 37, silver's going to 50.
That sounds right.
And if it clears 50, which he says it's going to, it will be $100 within 12 to 15 months. And again, going back, 45 years, right? Going back to the 70s. Same, similar patterns emerging. We'll see. I don't know. But it's interesting that everyone's coming up with the same type of prices. And then this morning, I don't know what happened, but the COMEX is saying that Brinks withdrew 469,000 ounces of silver. The Delaware Depository withdrew 5,000 ounces of silver. I'm like, okay, that's that's 500,000 ounces. That's pretty good. J.P. Morgan withdrew 1.16 million ounces, in Loomis 1.2 million ounces. And these were just the big ones. There's a lot more little ones, but Jason, we knew this. We've seen gold coming out of the COMEX. Now this morning, huge amounts of silver coming out. What does that mean? That means somebody out there is saying, I want delivery. And Jason and I can tell you who it's not. It's not the U.S. Mint. Right? I can tell you that. How can I tell you? Well, because I work in the industry. It's not like, oh my gosh, the phones don't stop ringing and everybody's buying cases of silver like they're going out of sight. I mean, we've seen that before. Listen, I was here in the financial crisis. I was here when the mint was making 40 million ounces of silver and we couldn't keep it in stock. That's not what's happening right now. This is telling you major, either institutional or independent billionaires are taking physical delivery of these metals. And I find it interesting at the same time, what is the retail guy? They're all retail investing going into the stock market. Well, everybody else is saying, yeah, that's a dumb idea. Wait 6 months and see what happens. And then, Jason, we're starting to see all of this stuff pouring out of the COMEX.
Yeah, there's a lot of physical buying. As I said, just because we don't have a ton of it going on here in America, there's a ton of physical demand going on. And we spent all of last year, remember, looking at how much gold seemed to be leaving this country and going the other direction until the tariffs, right? Suddenly a whole bunch had to show up here. Well, why is that? I think it was to cover the orders. So, yeah, I think the COMEX definitely has been doing a lot of overtime trying to keep up with the physical demand, Joe. I think the COMEX is doing its best in a situation that it could be running out.
Trouble's coming. And then this one, the Shanghai Futures Exchange announced yesterday that they are going to open up its domestic futures market for direct involvement by overseas investors and banks. China, again, ramping up. They want to replace London as the place where the price is going to be set. This is another huge step. 800-951-0592, $20 gold pieces, $34.95. 10 or more, $34.75. We got gold just above $3,300 and everything. I just saw Bank of America. That is, here you go. Shocker. Guess what they say gold's going to be? Yeah, right. 4,000, 4,500. When? Oh, the next 12 months. Oh, okay. I wonder, maybe they just saw the cup and handle. I don't know. By the way, they call silver probably the best investment out there for the next 12 months. We'll see. But don't be fooled here. You want to protect the money you've already made. That's what gold does. It's exactly what it does. What does that mean? Well, simple. Let's use this example. I don't know, maybe you got an IRA, right? Maybe you got money sitting in your bank account. Well, 10 years ago, if you had, $200,000 sitting in your bank, that would buy you a lot of stuff. But you fast forward to today, right? What does $200,000 get you today? I mean, the average price of an automobile 10 years ago was about $20,000. Believe it or not, it was $20,000. Well, it's now $50,000. And that's not a nice one, right? I mean, it's just not $50,000. It's hard to buy a vehicle for less than $50,000. It is. Of course, if you had put that into gold, well, guess what? You can buy the same amount of vehicles you could 10 years ago. Probably have money left over. And you can do it for anything. You can do it cattle, groceries, housing. Pick it. Vacations. I don't know. What do you like to do? Go to the ball game? Right? Name it. If you want to be able to live the same lifestyle you are accustomed to living, you better have gold put away. Because that's what gold does. It's exactly what it does. And I know that some of you out there think that, hey, we're America, we're the best, and we're gonna we're going to win. This isn't a thing you win, okay? Listen, I think we got great people here. I do. I really do. Unfortunately, they're making it so you can't win. Jamie Dimon, he's been saying a lot of interesting crap lately. He started talking about China and America. He goes, I consider myself an American patriot capitalist. But, there's always a but, isn't there? China's accomplishments in uplifting its people, they've done an enormous job over the last 20 years. In an interview with Bloomberg. That doesn't mean I personally agree with everything China has done. I'm a full-throated, red-blooded American patriot capitalist. But I understand that China can lift up their country. Over the last 20 years, China has been executing a more comprehensive economic strategy than we have. The country's leaders have successfully grown their nation, and depending how you measure it, have made China the largest or second largest economy in the world. Now, it's funny, depending on how you measure it. If you measure it in dollars, they're second. If you measure it in stuff, and what do I mean by stuff? I don't know. Cars, oil, steel, concrete, gold, silver, copper. I mean, you name it. Stuff. Groceries, toys, stuff, shoes, clothes, stuff. They're the largest economy in the world. That's a fact. It's a fact. What China does so well is manage its country as a whole, coordinating government and business so they're able to further some of their strategic goals. And China remains a priority market for J.P. Morgan. So don't be fooled by what they're saying. Now, it's interesting. How about NVIDIA? Jensen Huang, Wang, however he pronounces it. He said that Chinese competitors are not years behind cutting edge technologies like the American media and analysts want us to believe. They are catching up fast. And the reason is the U.S. export restrictions. And Jason, the NVIDIA CEO saying, hey, by restricting China from all this stuff, that's a lot. Now they're going even faster. And they're getting ready to catch up. By the way, NVIDIA's earnings calls, it's all going to be about China. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but they made a huge announcement the other day. They're going to spend billions of dollars, not on their best chip, which they're not allowed to do, but the one right next to it, all of it in China. But he is saying, Jason, if anybody out there wants to believe China is way behind when it comes to chips and AI, they're sadly mistaken. And then Nomi, one of China's largest cell phone companies, is destroying Apple right now, saying that their latest chip performs better than Apple's A18 Pro. And by the way, they sell it for a lot less. Jason, this thing's real. I hope people are understanding. China wants to compete. And if you listen to the CEOs, the important ones, they're not talking about China being behind. What are they saying? China's playing real ball, and they're doing a better job of it than we are. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592, $20 gold, $34.95. 10 or more, $34.75 at 800-951-0592. One of the, I would assume one of the biggest crypto conventions, at least in the United States, happening in Las Vegas right now. I was there for the last few days. We've been talking about TEXIT and an opportunity to make, life-changing type money. Robert Kiyosaki was out the other day, and he was talking about, hey, this is an opportunity like no other to make a life-changing amount of money for the people that are smart enough to take advantage of it, because it comes fast, right? I mean, all of us wish, man, I wish I would have known what Bitcoin was going to be back when it was $1. Back when some guy took 10,000 of them for 2 pizzas, right? Because it wasn't even 2 cents; it was like 0.2 of a cent at one point. Block, for those of you that use Block's like a company that allows you to take credit cards, especially like small businesses. They've now set it up to take crypto. We're going to Patriot. We're going to start taking crypto here very soon. It is coming whether you want it to or not. Think about Japan. Now, France says, oh my gosh, we're going to be out of money in 18 months. The United States, I mean, let's face it. The amount of debt we're going to, how they only say, well, it's going to be 3.8 trillion more. Of course, they don't tell you over the next 10 years. What they didn't tell you is, oh, by the way, we were already going to be, 25 trillion in debt on top of another 3.8. They never say that part out loud. Of course, it's actually worse than that. Do you know that all, like the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, the no tax on Social Security stuff, do you know that all expires in 2028? That's how they wink, wink, nod, nod to, it only costs that much. Remember, they did the same thing with they're doing the same thing now with the Trump tax. Well, we don't want them to expire. We got to extend it. We got to make it more, right? Yeah, there's no saving. It's so crazy. You are going to need something. Like I said, gold's going to keep you whole. But this is a chance to take advantage of what is coming. Yep. Is TEXIT a risk? Absolutely. They like to say, well, this is what we want. We wanted it to be Bitcoin before Bitcoin got off track. I remember talking about it and saying the same thing. I love Bitcoin. I loved the idea of it. Loved it. And then the government got in. They started regulating. And then all the banks, right? BlackRock now pretty much controls it. I mean, you can say they don't, but they do, right? They've gotten complete control of it. There will be winners and losers in this, and I think TEXIT has a chance to be a big winner. We know their formula, right? They're talking $16 by February. We don't know, but so far, that's what the math says. And they've been right. I was there at the conference. Bobby Gray's given the keynote speech. He already gave it yesterday at Bitmain. And he's out there talking about all the ways, that all the cutting edge technology that's behind it. The The servers that they use are, well, I guess eco-friendly, right? They spend a lot less energy than other mines do, and all kinds of great reasons why. You've got today, tomorrow, and Friday for the end of the best promotion that they will ever have. Each of it, we call it the 3, 6, and 9 for $3,000. You get $4,000 worth of hash. For $6,000. You get $8,000 worth. For $9,000, you get $12,000 worth. And this is something where this is buying into the mining of the shares, which means you get coins every day, every single day. But what if I sell my coins? Well, guess what? The next day you get more. And if you're sitting there and thinking, well, I don't know, Joe. It sounds too good to be true. And I get it, right? Bitcoin, right? When it was 0.2 of a cent and someone took 10,000 of them for 2 pizzas, that was 15 years ago last week. That's $109,000. This is an opportunity to be able, listen, I think people have no idea what's coming, Jason, how expensive things are going to be, the grow your way out of it thing. You are going to need to have an opportunity. I hope you don't let it pass you by. I get it. We're all scared. We're all nervous. We don't know how it works. But that's the great part. We're going to do it all together. Heck, we got people that didn't even know how to check their emails, getting things done and learning how to use their smartphones and get out to listen. The easiest thing, you got to have a smartphone or a laptop. You got to have at least one. Better to have both. But this is an opportunity I hope you don't let pass you by. We're going to be back. One final segment coming up. 800-951-0592, $20 gold pieces, 1 through 9, down to $34.95. If you buy 10 or more, $34.75 at 800-951-0592. If you want to get into TEXIT, or maybe you got questions, I mean, we'll answer them for you. Also at 800-951-0592. If you sign up within the next 3 days, and anyone who's already signed up, because we've done it all the time, you get 30 days to buy more. Here's the thing. See, they want this to be decentralized when the mine is done being built. What does that mean? They want to have hundreds of thousands of miners. So they limit how much you can spend. You only can buy what we call a 9-pack. It's $8,955. That's the most you can buy. If you want more mining power, which means more coins, you got to get somebody else to join up. Why? Because they want more miners. Why? So it's decentralized. It's the whole point. Right now, it's a level 1 coin. What does that mean? That means they use blockchain technology. They do the work. This is real. This isn't a meme coin. This isn't the Trump thing. By the way, are you seeing what the Trumps are doing? They're telling you. The problem is with what they're doing, they enrich themselves. Not a lot of hope for anybody else. This is different. This is going to allow you to do it. Even if you did a 1 share, $995. Do you know that by February you should have just under 1,000 coins with just $995? If they got to $16 like they say they're going to be, and I believe that they will, you'd have almost $16,000. on a less than $1,000 investment.
Multiply that times 12 if you get in today and get your 12 hash.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
You have to pay $9,000 to get in, but you have 1,200 hash instead of 100 hash.
Yeah, that's $191,000. Just back of my hand math, guys. And it doesn't end there, right? It's not like, oh, well, February, then it's all over. No, it doesn't. It's not all over. I'm just telling you, this is a life-changing chance. And then as you take money off the table, you can buy more security, right? Here's the great part about what we're doing. Not only are we going to help you do it, we're going to help you set up crypto accounts. We're going to walk you through the whole process. As we do it, you'll do it with us. The cool part is if this hits, think about now I get to protect. I got more wealth I need to protect, and I know the guys to do it. Right? Well, that's why we say, hey, if you want to trade your metals to do it, we're doing it. We're taking gold, silver, platinum, you name it, we're taking it. Why? Because I truly believe a year from now, not only are you going to have way more than what you put in, but you're going to have the need to buy a lot more gold and silver so you can protect the wealth we think you're going to earn. Call us, because I'll say this on Monday. The only advantages they're going to give you, if you do 5,000, they'll give you an extra 1,000. 9,000, they'll give you an extra 2, which is still good. But it's not as good as what they have today. 800-951-0592. Jason and I will be right back.